Here's how a roasted pork bun is made.
Once the actual chashu roast pork is made, it's loaded into our hopper and then basically it feeds the dough. Our machines automatically throw the buns in, kind of rolls it, and then it cuts it and then pops in the oven.
Chinese bakeries are some of the best cheap eats in New York City, and Fei Da is no exception. This whole tray of breads and pastries costs about 10.
We're making Sloppy Joe sliders. About a pound of ground meat. Break it up. Salt and pepper. 1 small onion. Boom. 2 cloves. Like that. Everyone goes to the party. Mix it up. Pyrex. Ham it. Buy these. Slice them. Boom. Bottom half. Drain out a little. Add about 3/4 cup of honey barbecue sauce. Pour it. Now we layer. Bottom buns. Pepper jack cheese. Now our meat. Use a slotted spoon. Boom. Shredded cheddar. Sprinkle it. Dill pickle chips. Layer. Like that. Let's top these babies. Stick of butter. Melt it. Wait. Wait. Salt and pepper. Pour it over everything. Boom. 350, 30 minutes. Covered for the first half. Uncovered the last half. Done. Grab one. It's definitely sloppy.
This is how to make popcorn in a brown paper bag. Use half a cup of kernels, a teaspoon of oil, and some salt. Mix until it feels good. Transfer to a brown paper bag. Fold over twice, and then microwave for 3 minutes. When the popping starts to slow down, you know it's done, and you can dig in.
This is the best way to eat a hot, hard-boiled egg. I always choose the one that has a little bit of damage. Put butter on it, let it melt down in there, put some salt and pepper on it.
This is how I make my famous spaghetti bread. Add your favorite spaghetti sauce to the cooked meat. Cook your pasta, and then you're going to mix the two together. Set that aside. Preheat the oven and spray your pan. You're going to unroll your pizza dough and knead it out. Be careful not to put any holes in it. Then you're going to put your spaghetti in the center of the dough. And then you're going to sprinkle lots of cheese. I mean lots of cheese. And then you're going to cut little slits on the sides. And then you're going to braid it over, pinching the edges together to keep it closed. Then you're going to bake it for about 15 minutes. Make sure it doesn't burn. Pull it out and sprinkle some garlic butter on the top and a little more cheese. And when you pull it out, let it cool for just a little bit before you slice. And I like to serve mine with some of the leftover spaghetti.
Let's make Japanese potato croquettes. Strip naked 2 potatoes, chop it up, and throw it in a pot. Give them a nice hot bath. It's been a long year. Dice 1/4 of an onion, throw it on a pan. When it turns translucent, add in a 1/4 pound of ground beef. Season with salt and pepper, cook and set aside. Drain the potatoes, mash it with a fork, add butter, salt, pepper, mix, then the beef, mix. Now for the fun part. Shape them into these cute little potato things just like this, and then let it rest in the fridge for 15 minutes. Then dip it into flour, egg, and panko breadcrumbs, and then throw it in the fryer about 2 to 3 minutes or until golden brown. Enjoy with tonkatsu sauce or just eat.
Yo, this chicken and rice dish will send your soul to heaven and back. Crispy rice, succulent chicken, packed with flavour. Let's go. To start off, we're going to add some chopped onions and garlic into a large oven dish and give it a nice mix about. Then add a nice healthy knob of butter and we're going to put it in the oven for about 10 minutes. While that's in the oven, we're going to season our chicken with some olive oil, salt, black pepper, some onion powder, some garlic powder, some allspice seasoning, some nutmeg and some cayenne if you want a bit of spice in there. Don't forget the mixed herbs. Give it a mix up to this looking like this. If you want full measurements, they'll be on my Instagram. Now get your onions and garlic out the oven when they're looking brown like this, then add in some washed basmati rice, give it a mix in, pour some water on top, along with the same seasoning we used for the chicken, and then give that a mix. Now we're gonna nestle our chicken drumsticks right on top, and let all them flavours cook together, woof. Cover the chicken in foil and bake for 20 minutes, and then 20 minutes later take the foil off, and get it in for another 25 minutes.
Let's try something different today. Boneless, skinless chicken breasts, season them up with hardcore carnivore red. Make sure you get both sides, and then they hit the big green egg directly over the charcoal about 400 degrees until they're looking just like that. Look at that char and crust. These will be tasty. Cube these guys up and cut them up into about bite-sized pieces. Cut both of those breasts and put them in a baking safe dish. Look at that. To that, we're going to add about a half a cup of Lily's Q Carolina barbecue sauce, about a half a cup of ranch dressing, and about a cup of shredded mozzarella and cheddar cheese. Mix all that together and add 2 cups of fully cooked penne pasta. That's right, we're adding pasta. This will be something different. Top it all with more of the shredded cheese, and this goes back on the grill in direct heat for about 5-10 minutes until the cheese is nice and melty. Look at that. Let's scoop that out. Oh, nice and juicy. Very nice, very melty, cheesy goodness. Top it all with some of the Truff hot sauce, and dinner is ready.
Let's make a burger better than In-N-Out. Lay the buttered buns on the griddle. Lay down your ground brisket patty. Hit it with kosher salt and smash the burger. Put down some caramelized onions. Flip the burger. Onions on the burger. Some cheddar cheese. Pub sauce. Lay the burger patty down. Tomatoes. House-made half-sour pickles. Shredded lettuce. And there you go. In-N-Out burger, but better.
Guys, girls gotta eat. I'm gonna take store-bought sauce and I'm gonna make it taste like it was homemade. So you start with olive oil, chopped onion, minced garlic into a pot. I add pork sausage because it really does give the best flavor, but you do you. You take your store-bought sauce, put that into your pot. Now put some water into your jar, give it a good shake, and put that liquid back into your sauce pot. Now you're gonna add a little bit of wine if you'd like. We also add Pecorino Romano cheese, and then you add fresh basil and flat leaf parsley. Give it a good stir, let it simmer for a few minutes, but you're good to go.
Eggs in purgatory is the Italian version of shakshuka. Saute onion and chili flakes. Mash up your tomatoes and add them to the pan. Add salt, pepper, and water from the tomatoes. If you know, you know. Add basil, make nests, and add the eggs in. Hit it with some parmigiano and partially cover to let the eggs cook. How beautiful is that? Crusty bread is not optional here. So good.
An easy, healthy breakfast that I do on the daily. First, you'll need some eggs and some oil. Heat up a pan with oil and then put the eggs in. I usually use plain grit, but honestly the cheese tastes better. Add some hot water and stir, then some garlic salt. Top with eggs and voila.
You should always keep this vegan pesto in your fridge. Olive oil, toasted pumpkin seeds, 1 to 2 cloves chopped garlic, 1 cup packed basil leaves, 3 cups packed baby spinach, some salt, and blend. Use any combination of greens and herbs you want, and then use this pesto on pizza, pasta, sandwiches, tacos, and so much.
If you buy mayonnaise, I want to show you how easy it is to make it. Okay, 2 egg yolks, half an eggshell of water, and a good squeeze of half a lemon. I like to use half olive oil, half vegetable oil. Whilst you are constantly whisking, add half the oil, then give it a season, and then add the rest of the oil. This helps distribute the seasoning. Tomorrow I want to show you how to make tartar sauce and aioli. Hope everyone enjoys.
There is something so sexy about this strawberry rhubarb jam. I'm going to show you the recipe. You're going to start off with 1 pound of rhubarb that I'm just roughly chopping, as well as a pound of strawberries. This is going to be super tangy and not with as much sugar as a normal recipe would. You're only going to need a half a cup, as well as a pinch of flaky salt and the seeds from 1 vanilla bean or a teaspoon of vanilla extract. You're going to cook this down over medium heat for about 30 minutes until it's nice and thick. Then we're just going to chill it and spread.
All right, season your steak with whatever you like. I'm using Black Magic, which is a charcoal-based rub. It has no pepper, and also my rub, this thing of ours, which is a garlic pepper rub. Sprinkle it hot and heavy, then get your steak into a hot cast iron skillet. Cook it for 3 minutes, flip it over, add in some butter and some garlic, and baste that bad boy. Baste, baste, baste. Trust me, it makes all the difference in the world. Get your steak onto a cutting board, top it with that butter mixture, and let it rest under foil for 10 minutes before we slice. How does it cut? Like butter. You already know, folks. Pretty in pink, Molly Ringwald status, juicy, juicy, juicy. Put some respect on my name. Official like a ref with the whistle. Bang Bang Flavor Gang.
These key lime pie flavored smoothie bowls are incredible. So blend up all the ingredients together, then pour them out into a bowl, top with granola.
Yeah, you start me up. You start me up and never stop. You made a grown man cry.
If you haven't seen me bake bacon for the 100th time on TikTok, here it is again. Really quick, how cute is my Campbell soup mug? Make sure you preheat your oven and lay your bacon down close but not overlapping on a cookie sheet. Bake it however long you like. I usually do between 15 and 20 minutes, but it's up to you. Carefully remove it and let it drain on paper towels. Now just toss out the tin foil or parchment paper, and this is it for cleanup. No splatter, no mess. And then you can just enjoy your perfectly...
This is one of the best-selling sides. Cucumbers have been salted for a day. Mix and pour in liquid and you're all set.
A good skillet queso is really hard to beat, especially on a Friday night. We're gonna start by getting our coals super hot and charring up some poblano peppers and jalapeno pepper. We're gonna cook up some ground chorizo in our skillet, pulling it off and setting it aside, adding in some melting cheese and a little bit of milk. We are going to get that queso until it's super creamy. Add back in the chorizo, top it off with some pepper jack cheese, cover it up, bring those coals on top of it, and we're going to caramelize the outside, mixing in a actual kind of like a pico de gallo styled salsa. Put it in the middle and you're ready to devour. This was a creamy, just absolutely delicious queso.
Here's an easy spicy peanut noodle dish I made for dinner in college with just leftovers that I had. I made it vegetarian this time. You can very easily veganize or add meat. I started stir frying shallot, onion, garlic, and ginger in neutral oil. I added my favorite ingredient, chili flakes, and then I started soaking my rice noodles in warm water. I added some sesame seeds, I don't know why. Then I added the leftover vegetables I had, which was just a bell pepper and some carrots. For the sauce, I just mixed some peanut butter, sweet chili sauce, soy sauce, sriracha, and rice wine vinegar. I just kind of eyeballed it. You can't really mess this up. I added just a little bit of sesame oil. It can be overpowering, but I used it to fry some eggs. This would be a good time to crisp up some tofu or chicken. I drained my rice noodles in the sink and added them, mixed them up. Then I just added the sauce, stir-fried it all on high, and served with lime.
My absolute favorite dish to cook is braised short ribs. Season your short ribs with salt and pepper. Then sear in a large heavy bottom pot for about 1.5 minutes each side. I'm using bacon fat. Now set the meat aside, and then back to the pot you're going to add a mirepoix, 1 large onion, 4 carrots, and 4 celery stalks. Saute for about 5 minutes, then add 1 tablespoon tomato paste, 3 tablespoons of flour. Cook for about 5 minutes until it deepens in color, then add an entire bottle of red wine. Here I'm using Cabernet. Add your meat back to the pot and then cook on medium so your wine can reduce by half, about 30 minutes. Add 8 cups of beef stock. Then you're going to add your herbs. Here I have rosemary, thyme, parsley, bay leaves, and half a head of garlic. Tuck those down into the braising liquid, and then you're going to cover loosely and bake in the oven at 350 for 2.5 hours. Once again, you're going to remove the meat very gently, they're fall off bone right now, and strain your braising liquid. Season the braising liquid, then pour over your finished plated product. Enjoy!
This is how you make a really quick breakfast pocket. So I start off with some eggs, some shredded cheese, and some sliced ham.
I take my crescent rolls and I just roll them out and I fill them with all the mixture. You can fill it to your likings, bacon, or whatever you guys want. I brush it with heavy cream, but that's optional. And then I sprinkle some everything bagel seasonings, also optional. I got my air fryer going at 400 degrees for 8 minutes and we're all done. Quick and easy breakfast.
I saw this crab boy I wanted to try, so here we go. Popping your sausages, your crab. I use Dungeness. Your corn. Yes, sir. Slice your lemon up, your onion. Okay, the seasoning, there we go. Butter acting funny on me. And yes, 1 stick. A whole lot of garlic, baby. Do not be shy on the garlic. Yes, don't be shy with the lemon either. I used another one. That's up to you. The scrimps, there you go, $3.50.
Hey, sexy. Glad you stopped by. I just wanted to make you your new favorite 15-minute healthy dinner. You're going to rinse and drain a can of chickpeas, and then you're going to dry them off with a towel so you don't kill yourself with splattering oil. And then cook them on medium-high, but don't touch them. You're going to want to touch them, but if you touch them, they won't get nice and crispy. Meanwhile, grab a bowl and toss in some chopped red onions, some avocado, some tomatoes, some minced garlic, a lot of fresh herbs, some pomegranate seeds, some lime juice. Honestly, this tastes a lot better when you chop it finer, but I wanted it to look pretty for the picture. And then you're going to add some salt, some olive oil, and your crispy chickpeas. And she's a beauty, just like you. Full recipes on my Insta.
Hello everybody! For today's video, I am making a spinach and artichoke dip bagel. I love this dip, but I've never made it before. I combined cream cheese, sour cream, and mayo. After mixing, I put in the artichoke hearts, and then of course a bunch of spinach. Most recipes I saw called for frozen spinach, but I only had fresh, so hopefully it's alright. After mixing some more, I added a garlic salt, and then some shredded mozzarella cheese. Since this is my first time making it, I wanted to keep it kind of simple, just in case I messed up somehow. After baking the dip for about 20 minutes, I'm putting a layer on top of each of the slices. And on top of each of the pieces, I'm going to add a little bit more mozzarella cheese. And then I let them broil for about 5 minutes. This is how they look, and they tasted delicious.
Make some dang cheesesteak quesadillas. Go Birds! You want to take a nice half-frozen ribeye steak. You want it to be half-frozen so you can slice it as thin as possible. You almost want it to be translucent. Now you got nice little steaky ribbons. Chop an onion into a nice medium dice. I lube a pan, a bunch of oil. Look at that sizzle. Now we're cooking with heat, Trevor. Give it a little pinch of salt and stir it around a little bit. You're not trying to caramelize, just got a good grill on them. After a few minutes, you're going to crank the heat to high and then move all the onions to one side. Now you throw in your beef. Try and get a lot of surface area on the pan. Give it a hefty dusting of salt. Fold in your onions once it's almost cooked. Need a little bit of oil in another pan. And throw your tortilla in the pan. We got white American on one side, provolone on the other. The best combination. Take a hefty portion of the steak and onions. Add it to one side. Then you gotta reach in with your hands and give it a flip. Ah, yeah, let it burn. Give it a flip. Yep. Give it a whack. This is the thing that I enjoy. I had a good freaking quesadilla, man.
Hey guys, here's the last meal that I made for my teacher's aide since her son passed. I only needed 1 pound of ground beef for this, but I was also making another meal, and that's the meal I posted before this, so I just split that evenly between both. I have some frozen bacon grease. I just put that in ice cube trays, and whenever I need bacon grease, I just pop them out. These beans were pretty dry, so I added some sour cream, and then my meat I seasoned with the taco seasoning, and I accidentally poured too much water, but that's okay. And then I just mixed that up. I popped my enchilada sauce can like this so that it could pour easily, and then I just started lining my pan with some sauce and building the burritos. Usually it would be better if you layered it, but it was already midnight when I was doing this, so I just tried to roll them up real fast and throw them in there so I could hurry up and bake them. I added extra sauce because my coworker does not like her food dry, topped it with cheese, and baked it at 375 for about 20 or 30 minutes.
Alright everybody, so I'm on my quick lunch break. What I have right here is some shredded steak with some banana peppers. I got green beans at the bottom, and I have some Gaines Bakery diet hacking sauce. But that is my keto lunch today.
Veggie TikTok is officially my new favorite place to be, so here is a Brussels sprout recipe. I grew up despising Brussels sprouts because I was served them boiled with vinegar, and that's gross. So here is a roasted Brussels sprout recipe, which is delicious. So I start by cutting off the ends and then chopping them up and separating them with my hands to get some good leafy parts that will get crispy in the oven, and then some hearts that will stay tender in the oven. And then I added crushed red pepper, paprika, garlic,
salt, and pepper. And then I mixed it all up with some olive oil, put it on a pan, drizzled some more olive oil on it, added some more crushed red pepper because I love that spice, and then drizzled it with honey to give it a little bit of sweetness. And then in the oven at 425 for about 12 to 15 minutes, shake halfway through, and wow, this was so delicious. Please try it.
Have you made this before? It's one of my favorite keto-friendly snacks. It's simple to do and it's delicious. All you gotta do is grate cheese onto your frying pan, fry it up, flip it, take it off, let it cool, and enjoy. It's a keto-friendly snack you're gonna love.
There are a lot of ways to make chicken and dumplings, but this way is my favorite.
Start by cooking a whole chicken for an hour over medium-high in a large stock pot with a teaspoon of poultry seasoning, some salt, 2 quarts of chicken broth, and enough water just to cover the chicken. Remove the chicken from the broth, then let it cool and shred it. Season the broth with salt and pepper, then add the shredded chicken back to the broth and bring it up to a simmer. Meanwhile, make the dumplings by combining 3 cups of all-purpose flour, half a teaspoon of poultry seasoning, a 1/3 cup of shortening, 2 teaspoons of bacon drippings, and a cup of milk. Knead the dough until it's smooth and then roll it an 8-inch thick and cut it into 1-inch pieces. Thicken the broth by adding a mixture of equal parts cornstarch and water. Add the dumplings to the broth and cook it for 25 minutes before serving. It's just like Grandma's or Cracker Barrel.
You have to try this. It's the best ramen ever. First, make your ramen like normal and then drain out all the water. Then place it back into the pan and add some butter and some Parmesan cheese. Then add some half and half and then some of the packet and then stir it all up. Look at how good this looks. It kind of tastes like fettuccine alfredo with a
This is another of my mom's recipes. It's called chicken cakes, like salmon or crab cakes, only it's made with canned chicken. They're quick, easy, and almost everyone likes them. I hope you enjoy. 2 12.5-ounce cans of chicken breast. 24 saltine crackers, but we gotta crush them. Lots of you gave me the tip to put them in a bag and use a rolling pin, but I saw this in the drawer and thought it looked way more fun. Dump your cracker crumbs in the bowl. Drain your chicken. In goes both cans. 1 heaping 1/3 cup mayo. That's just cooking spray on it. 2 tablespoons lemon juice. You can also add onion, but we don't like it. Get in there with a clean hand and mix it all together. It should look something like this when you're done. Medium-high heat. Start forming balls and mash into patties. Spray your pan. Add the cakes into the pan. It's been 4 minutes and mine are ready to flip. And we're done. All done. I hope you enjoy.
Life 101. All right, so tonight we're making colossal lobster with premium crab meat. So go ahead and get your lobster tail. You want to cut it down its spine, and then you're going to go ahead and lift that meat out onto the top of the shell, okay? So when I get it outside of the shell, I'm going to go ahead and coat it with a butter mixture. It's basically butter, cilantro, and some garlic. All right, so there's my crab meat. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get my mixture together. So basically all of these ingredients, I put them into a bowl. Make sure you only use the yolk, not the egg white, okay? And then you get your crab meat and then you gently put it into the mixture. You don't want to break it up into teeny tiny pieces. So try to keep them as lump as possible. Mix it up real good like I did here. And then you're going to go ahead and get that lobster tail, put that crab meat on top, and then you want to put it back into the oven. I baked it at 375. When it was all done, I drizzled some more garlic butter on top until it was all done. Look at that. Don't it look good?
Hey guys, definitely not authentic, but this is how I make my stuffed shells. I always season my pasta water with some chicken bouillon seasoning, and I use jumbo shells. They didn't have ground Italian sausage, so they substituted for these. I cut the casing off and just made sure I separated it really well while I was cooking it, and I seasoned with a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder. Once my shells were done cooking, I drizzled some olive oil over them and made sure they were all separated and let them cool. And then in my ricotta, I added 1 egg and I seasoned it pretty heavily because I didn't want it to be bland. Added in about 3/4 a bag of the shredded cheese and some of that Italian sausage that I cooked, and I saved some on the side. Added in my ranch season. Just kidding, just kidding. I poured some sauce in my pan and I just started stuffing the shells. And then once I was done, I poured the rest of the jar of sauce on top, spread it around, added in some of the sausage that I saved, and topped it with plenty of cheese. Baked it at 375 for about 30 minutes, and I put Parmesan on top and a breadstick on the side.
So on the menu for tonight, we were supposed to have Swedish meatballs, but I'm not feeling Swedish meatballs, so I'm just going to take this ground beef and form it into some hamburger steaks. I'm going to get some olive oil going in my skillet, and I'm going to add a little pat of butter for flavor. I went ahead and seasoned them up with some seasoned salt, paprika, garlic powder, and pepper. And then I'm going to give them just the lightest dusting of flour. This is going to be to thicken the gravy later. I'm going to do this on both sides. My skillet is nice and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and get my hamburger patties in there. While the patties are browning, I'm gonna go ahead and peel these potatoes because I'm gonna make mashed potatoes. They had a good crust on one side, so I went ahead and flipped them over. I went ahead and took them out of the pan because I'm gonna make some gravy now. My big one broke in half, but that's okay, it'll eat the same. I'm gonna thinly slice one onion.
How to make the best sandwich you've ever had. We need to step up your mayonnaise and mustard game. This is my homemade whole grain mustard, and then I also have some Dijon. Homemade mayonnaise, check out my previous video to learn how to make it. Both types of mustard, a bunch of fresh herbs. I have parsley, chives, and basil. All of your herbs straight in. Lemon juice, season with salt and pepper. Some beautiful heirloom tomatoes, season with Maldon salt and fresh pepper. Slice up some avocado. No more romaine, get a nice tender lettuce like this. I made a light Dijon vinaigrette for the lettuce, lightly dressed. Make sure to get some good bread. I'm using lemon and herb roasted turkey. I like to spread a little bit of the sauce on top. Mayo, mustard, both sides of the bread. Our lightly dressed lettuce, tomatoes. On the other side, avocado and the turkey. I added a little Swiss, slice it up. I literally dream about this spicy tuna crispy rice. It might be the best thing I've ever made. You're first gonna rinse 2 cups of sushi rice and add it to a pot with 3 cups of water. You're gonna let that come to a boil and then cover it and simmer for 20 minutes. Next, you're gonna add 3 tablespoons of sugar with 1/4 cup of rice vinegar and salt. Microwave, then add sesame oil. Mix that into the rice when it's ready, and then you're gonna push it into an 8x8 saran pan, and you're going to refrigerate that for at least 8 hours. You want it really, really cold so when you fry it, it doesn't fall apart. Before taking it out of the fridge 8 hours later, you're going to make spicy tuna. I mixed sriracha and mayo, and then I cut up my tuna and I added it. Then I cut up the rice and I poured oil into a pan, got it hot enough, and fried it. You want to do about 4 minutes on each side. And that's how it came out. I then added mashed avocado and the spicy tuna on top. And oh my.
I'm going to show you how easy it is to make this Japanese snack. So it says fish cake, but I think these are more like imitation crab meat sticks. I'm using Kewpie Mayo, which is a Japanese brand. Then add sriracha sauce depending on how spicy you want it. Mix that well and then add more if needed. Then I'm using a plastic seaweed container. And just add your rice. I'm using medium green rice, which is a bit sticky. Flatten it and top with seaweed, and then top with the crab meat. These were so good. I'm not really sure what they're called, but it kind of reminds me of sushi.
I'm about to put you guys on to the best way to eat sweet potato. Literally the best way.
Yes, you can put aluminum foil in the air fryer. I usually spray the bottom so that the sweet potato doesn't get stuck. And then I also spray the sweet potato with a coconut oil spray and add cinnamon to it. Then I stick it in the air fryer at 400 for 12 minutes. And this is the best part. Almond butter on every piece. Ooh!
Friday night seems to be my live night, so I'm going to pop on again tonight around 8:30. But listen, I'm going to make it cooler this time. I'm coming prepared this time. I'm going to give some stickers away and play some games with you guys. And for the super observant, keep a close eye on my videos today. I might be asking some questions about things you see in them later. You never know. And if you have anything you want me to talk about or questions you have for me, ask me in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Have an awesome day.
Do you want to know the secret ingredient for getting the crispiest skin on your next roast chicken? Well, surprise, it's mayonnaise. Mayo's 2 main ingredients are eggs and oil, so it helps give that super even color, and you can mix in whatever herbs or flavorings you'd like.
For dinner tonight, I made some awesome wine braised short ribs. I'm first browning off the meat on all sides until it looks like this, and then taking out the meat, adding carrots, onions, and celery and browning that off too. I'm then adding some flour to thicken and some tomato paste for flavor and mixing that in. We're then going to get this pot drunk with a whole bottle of Cave Sauv. Once in, add that meat back into the pot and reduce the liquids until about half, like this. Then add a whole carton of low sodium beef stock, add some parsley, rosemary, and oregano, and a whole head of garlic. Top with a lid, pop into a 350-degree oven for at least 2 hours until it looks tender like so. Place on top of polenta or mashed potatoes, and top with a little bit of fresh parsley.
If you love fried pork chops, you're gonna love this video. Add enough high heat cooking oil to a pan that covers halfway up the pork chop. This is standard breading procedure: flour, egg, and breadcrumbs. I season each layer with salt and pepper and add garlic powder to the breadcrumbs. Keep one hand for dry and one hand for wet. Dip the pork chop in flour, then into the egg and switch your hand, then into the breadcrumbs. I use panko breadcrumbs because they're super crispy, and you also want to press all the breadcrumbs into the pork chop. Heat the oil to 350 degrees on medium heat. Check with the thermometer, that's the best way. Then lay your pork chop down in the pan. You don't have to use your hand like I did. You can use tongs. Then when it's nice and golden brown, turn it over very carefully not to splash the oil. The internal temp should be at least 140 degrees. You can eat pork chops a little bit pink. Finish with flaky Maldon salt because it looks pretty. Comment your favorite style of pork chops, I want to know. And trust me, you can cook.
In Lebanon, we call this mdardara. Everywhere else, it's called mjaddara. It's made with lentils, which are protein-packed and a great meat alternative. It's easy. You saute your onions, you wash your lentils, and you put your lentils on top of the onions and saute them together. 4 cups of lentils takes 8 cups of water using the same measuring tool. Add butter or oil, salt, seasoned salt, and black pepper. Cover, bring it to a boil, and remove the foam that forms. Now add rinsed bulgur or rice and 3 cups of boiling water. Mix it together, put your heat on low, and cover the pot. At this point, you'll start caramelizing the onion. This part is important because the sweetness of the onions gets infused into the oil, and the oil is used to actually flavor the lentils. Most people use 1 onion, but I use 2 because I love the flavor of caramelized onions. Every 10 minutes or so, move the lentils around in the pot to make sure they're all getting cooked. Put some onions on the side for garnish and put the rest in and the oil into the pot. And mix them all together. Pour yourselves a plate and put the caramelized onions on top. Now I know you're all gonna fight me on.
Here's what you could do with leftover ground turkey for a quick dinner. Roll it in flour tortilla, and if you don't have turkey, use cheese. And then pan fry it in a little bit of olive oil on all sides until nice and crispy. I like to top with some guac, some pickled veggies, and some salsa and sour cream. Basically, it's my version of a...
I'm gonna show you how to make the best pork chops you've ever had in your entire life. We're gonna start out by scoring that fat on the sides, and we're gonna season with salt, pepper, and a little bit of rosemary. You're gonna wanna do that on both sides of the pork chops. Then we're gonna get a pan scorching hot. We're gonna add a little bit of oil in there, and then we're gonna throw the pork chops in fat side down to render that fat for about a minute. Once the fat's rendered, it's gonna look a little something like this. It's gonna be a golden brown, beautiful. We're gonna throw it on the side for 3 minutes, cook them on the sides, and we're gonna flip once they look like that. We're gonna flip them over, and then we're gonna cook them on the other side, but we're gonna add in a little bit of garlic, some butter, and we're gonna melt that and baste it onto the pork chops. Once we're done basting for a couple minutes, we're gonna take them off and let them sit. They're gonna rest while we deglaze that pan with orange juice, balsamic vinegar, salt, and butter. We're gonna reduce that by like 50%, and once it's reduced, we're gonna throw the pork chops back in for 30 seconds aside to glaze the pork chops. They're gonna look a little something like that. That's done. We're gonna take them out, slice them up, and serve them with a side of rice or whatever you want to do. They were fire. My girlfriend loved them.